Over the years, the FBI, along with homicide detectives in Philly, have been considered unmotivated as far as mob-related cold cases go. That criticism changed on August 25th, 2025, when federal prosecutors announced the arrest of Richard Leidy, who was charged with murder, attempted murder, possession of a prohibited firearm, simple assault, endangering another person, possession of an instrument of a crime with intent, and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. These crimes took place 26 years ago with the murder of Gino Marconi and his longtime girlfriend, Patricia Miley, who luckily survived the shooting. Marconi was an associate of the Philly mob, led at the time by a self-appointed boss whose street resume included petty house theft and robberies. Marconi owned an auto body shop, but his side hustle was the drug business, and it's the opinion of many that he refused to be shaken down. He was the son and nephew of members who went back to the Bruno family, Mark and Funzie Marconi. On April 10, 1999, Marconi and Miley were leaving his home after dinner on South 20th in South Philly. 3 days prior to this date, a stolen van started parking up the block, and with each day, it moved closer to Marconi's house, ultimately ending up directly across the street. So on April 10th, a shooter or shooters popped up out of a cutout in the van's roof, which created a sort of homemade turret. Marconi was shot in the head, but died the following day at the hospital. Miley, who was shot 3 times, miraculously survived her injuries. It's unsure as to whether or not she was targeted or hit by accident. The van used in this incident was discovered torched a few blocks away, and in it was a burned .22 rifle. The investigation into Marconi's murder turned up drugs, marijuana, money, and several illegal handguns that were found in his house, which is a clear indication he was knee-deep in the street life. Involved in this case is the FBI, Philadelphia Homicide, and the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. The judge sealed all the court filings, and I could be wrong, but it seems there's a cooperating witness or informant in the midst, especially with the judge sealing those records. Over the years, and going back to the mid-90s, South Philadelphia has had somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 cold case murders, specifically involving the mob, allegedly the Philly mob. On October 5th, 1996, Billy Veazey, brother of John Veazey, a member of the Stanford organization, John Stanford, was the official boss of Philadelphia, was shot and precisely targeted on the day his brother John was set to testify against his former boss, John Stanford, when in actuality, Billy Veazey's murder was in retaliation for the 1993 murder of Michael Ciancaglini, a brother-for-brother situation, as some people view it. On March 18, 1998, Anthony Turner was shot to death outside his South Philly home. At the time, he was headed to federal court, where he was on trial for racketeering. On October 26, 1999, Ronald Turchi, the former consigliere for the former acting boss, Ralph Natali, was found in the trunk of his wife's Toyota. On January 17, 2002, Raymond Long John Martorano was shot while driving his car in the Washington Square west section of Philly. He died of his injuries on February 5th, 2002. Johnny Gongs Casasanto, a South Philly ladies' man, one aligned with boss John Stanford, was killed on November 23, 2003, in the kitchen of his home. A well-known fact is that Casasanto was having an affair with the self-appointed Philly boss's wife while that person was incarcerated. Over and above that, Casasanto publicly flaunted this fact by rubbing it in the faces of certain people in Philly. So besides being a member of the opposition, he was also considered a romantic rival. On June 10, 2010, Rocco Maniscalco was shot at the intersection of Colorado Street and Wolf. His death represents a pattern where extortion seemed to be a factor. On December 12, 2012, Gino DiPietro was shot to death as he was exiting his truck in South Philly. Surveillance footage captured a shooter fleeing the scene. Subsequently, the police discovered evidence tied to the shooting, including the murder weapon, in a car belonging to Anthony Nicodemo, a Philly member, who was believed to be the getaway driver. The actual shooter has never been brought to justice. Nicodemo is currently serving 25 to 50 years for the DiPietro murder. Police investigating the case called the crime the dumbest mob hit ever seen. Nonetheless, dumb or not, DiPietro did lose his life as a result. The arrest of Richard Leidy not only cracked open a 26-year-old cold case, but can possibly open the floodgates for other unsolved crimes tied to South Philadelphia. As I'm sure the cold cases mentioned earlier will all be re-examined. Besides modern forensic technology, the greatest weapon for law enforcement is new witnesses or informants who either come forward or perhaps got caught up in something criminal recently. Think about it. A guy gets jammed up legally and knows information regarding one or more of these cold cases. What does he do? He decides to help himself, get out of whatever trouble he's in, and begins cooperating. With the latest news of the arrest of Leidy, it also may trigger someone's memory or even guilt as a witness for one of the other cold cases. Eyebrows were raised when Anthony Nicodemo was transferred to the state's new correction facility, SCI Phoenix, in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, which is in close proximity to his home and family. The transfer would be considered to Nicodemo's liking. What brought that about is unknown. He's not eligible for parole until 2038, but so far he's been holding strong. However, he still has over a decade ahead of him. From what I understand, there are a number of former members and associates who've been the target of verbal abuse on a particular YouTube podcast, and a few of these people have stated that if pushed, they would reveal a great deal of information that would open up a legal can of worms. Well, they have been pushed. So this could also be another angle that investigators are using to their advantage. For instance, one such person could absolutely cause legal problems for Philly's administrative member, Georgie Borghese. If you haven't liked this video yet, please take the time now and give it a like, as it helps with YouTube's algorithm. Anyone looking to show their appreciation for videos like this, or more importantly, help me to continue making them, you could donate with the Super Thanks icon down below or through the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. And let me quickly add, I thank all of you who have shown your generosity by donating in the fight against the sabotaging of this channel. Let me mention my blog, also called Sit Down News, especially for those of you who still enjoy reading. It can be found at sitdownnews.com and is a paid subscription. The puzzling question that many guys on the street are asking is as follows. Why put your brothers in jeopardy just to make a few dollars on YouTube and embarrass yourself in the process? Or as one guy put it, ruin a whole mob's reputation. I personally believe the Gino Marconi cold case breakthrough is just the tip of the iceberg. The one thing cold case investigators have in their favor is that murder has no statute of limitations. So anyone involved in these cold cases, or perhaps even ordered a murder or two, has a lot to be worried about.